I never even imagined there would ever be a situation in which the president of our country was celebrating hundreds of Americans losing their jobs. With somebody who took pleasure in that. That, to me, is the absolute opposite of what a leader of this country is supposed to be.
There's something created about him in a sense of bulliedom. But what he is, I believe, is a brat. Like an Taj Mahal. Brat. The absurdity of where his sentences might travel. You know, I mean, really, no. I mean, so, no. Because everything...
Trump's latest chapter doesn't open with a scandal or a statement, it opens with laughter. Not applause, but the sharp kind that cuts through illusion. Jimmy Kimmel and Johnny Depp aren't just observers, they're analysts of a presidential circus that refuses to leave town. The twist isn't Trump's unpredictability anymore, it's that the world now predicts the unpredictable. What once shocked now loops on repeat. The chaos remains, but the punchlines? Everyone already knows them by heart.
Government is now officially shut down because we don't have funding to pay the federal workers. Trump really is running the country like it's one of his businesses. He said he would. Just to give you some perspective, the government being shut down is even worse than when it's up and running. Republicans would like you to believe that Democrats shut the government down, but the bill they wanted the Democrats to sign would knock out about 15 million.
Even if I don't own it yet, I'll have it. Reagan back in the day, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down that wall. Donald Trump. I'm going to build a wall, a fabulous wall, sensational.
Kimmel opens with the obvious, only Trump could turn governing into a reality show where every episode ends with him firing his own credibility. It's the Apprentice Oval Office edition, except the contestants are world leaders who'd rather skip the taping. What was once politics now feels like improv gone stale, a performance dragging past its finale. The script ran out 2 years ago, but the lead won't exit. So the lights stay on, the cameras roll, and the audience watches out of disbelief.
This election, if we had these people that were running, that were ruining our country, destroying our country with their open borders and men playing in women's sports and transgender from everybody and windmills all over the place.
I'm sorry, I'm not sure I heard that correctly. What was that last item?
Windmills all over the place.
There would be windmills all over.
If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon for more. Depp joins the roast with that effortless smirk, the kind that says everything without needing a word. He doesn't have to exaggerate, Trump handles that part flawlessly. The man could turn a weather report into a campaign rally. One moment he's predicting rain, the next he's claiming he invented the umbrella. The self-importance, the theatrics, the overconfidence, it's all part of the act. Watching him speak feels like Captain Jack Sparrow explaining fiscal policy after 3 bottles of rum, except Trump's version is stone sober, which somehow makes it even harder to believe.
Jesus Christ. Can we bring Trump here? No, just to... No, you've misunderstood completely.
Just to give him some love and rehabilitation.
I think he needs help. It's going to be in the press, it'll be horrible. But I'd like that you're all a part of it. When was the last time?
At his latest rally, Trump's ego got a standing ovation, mostly from Trump himself. The crowd, not so much. Halfway through, people began drifting out, realizing they weren't at a political rally but a live therapy session for a man obsessed with applause. Cameras caught rows of supporters leaving as Trump kept insisting everyone adored him. Kimmel joked it was the only concert where the performer argues with his own encore. Depp just laughed, knowing even Hollywood's best directors couldn't script a spectacle this delusional or this unintentionally tragic.
day, he says something that would rank right at the top of the most ridiculous things any president has ever said. And the people who work for him, they can't get enough of it.
What a difference the presidency makes, Jesse, right? I mean, we are now totally over that destructive, stupid era of toxic masculinity, and now we're in an era of real masculinity, thanks to the bold, muscular leadership of President Trump.
And then comes Trump's latest economic masterpiece, new tariffs on India and Mexico. A move so daring that economists everywhere developed a collective headache. He called it strategy, the rest of the world called it self-sabotage. Prices are soaring, trade partners are fuming, and the American middle class is staring at grocery receipts that read like luxury bills. Kimmel dubs it the art of the deal, rewritten as the art of the ordeal. Depp calls it performance economics, where applause takes precedence over outcome, and reality always foots the bill.
This visit from the Dodgers was a nice distraction for Trump from the fact that he is busy destroying the world economy. It was another terrifying day on Wall Street. The Dow was down, the S&P was down, cocaine was up. The S&P 500 has lost more than 10% of its total value since Thursday, costing Americans billions of dollars from their stock portfolios and retirement.
End there. He sent troops to Chicago, claiming it was to restore order, but the spectacle looked more like a campaign stunt than a constitutional act. Cameras caught him striding stiffly outside the White House, performing authority while sidestepping the consequences. Chicago's leaders pushed back, protests erupted, and Trump grinned as if conflict itself were the measure of success. Kimmel calls it leadership by loudness, the belief that shouting at problems solves them. Meanwhile, inflation has become his latest nemesis, though he treats it like a personal vendetta. At a recent press briefing, Trump declared the economy stronger than ever, as every financial indicator suggested the opposite. His aides stood behind him like extras in a hostage video, nodding at imaginary numbers. Depp calls it method acting, though he doubts Trump knows the method. Kimmel takes it further, a man trying to convince a nation that the sinking ship isn't doomed, just redesigned as a new kind of submarine.
On Saturday, Francis Ford Coppola posted this AI-generated image of himself to celebrate his invasion of Chicago. Someone made this and called it Shipocalypse Now with the caption, "I love the smell of deportations in the morning." This is normal, right? Both sides do this. So you remember when Obama declared war on Orlando? Totally normal. You know, for a guy who dodged the draft, he sure does love fake pictures of himself in battle gear. He's a real AI.
Captivating is that Trump doesn't just rewrite reality, he auditions for it. Every appearance feels like a screen test for a movie only he's directing, the plot constantly changing but the ending forever the same. Trump wins, everyone else loses. Facts twist, headlines bend, and the self-proclaimed billionaire genius now spends his mornings defending why everyone but him is wrong. It's a performance that's both exhausting and hypnotic, a magician repeating the same trick, hoping the audience won't notice the wires holding the illusion together. Kimmel finds comedy in the repetition, the recycled lines, the predictable boasts, the endless grievances about being misunderstood. It's political déjà vu, a rerun nobody ordered yet everyone keeps watching out of disbelief. Depp, meanwhile, sees it through an artistic lens. Trump's life is a film that began as satire but forgot its genre halfway through. It's too absurd for drama, too self-serious for parody, and too repetitive to surprise. Each scandal bleeds into the next until outrage becomes white noise, a constant hum beneath the headlines. At the center stands a man convinced every camera adores him. He walks into press rooms like a celebrity striding onto a red carpet, adjusts his tie with theatrical precision, and delivers lines rehearsed only in his own echo chamber. The spectacle never ends because, for Trump, silence equals defeat and attention equals survival. He doesn't govern, he performs, feeding off every reaction, whether laughter or outrage. Kimmel calls it the loudest quiet in American history, a presidency sustained not by accomplishment but by constant noise. A leader who mistakes applause for approval, chaos for control, and the spotlight for the truth itself.
The author Michael Wolff, who has interviewed Trump repeatedly, says he's seen about a dozen photographs of Trump and Jeffrey Epstein with topless women. Trump's BF Jeff kept them in his safe and showed them to this guy. So this morning, Rhode Island Senator Sheldon Whitehouse asked Bondi if the FBI found those photos.
There's been public reporting that Jeffrey Epstein showed people photos of President Trump with half-naked young women. Do you know if the FBI found those photographs?
You know, Senator Whitehouse, you sit here and make salacious remarks, once again trying to slander President Trump left and right.
Didn't hear the word no there, did you?
Depp takes it further, describing the Trump era as a slow-motion car chase, the kind where the car never crashes, yet the driver keeps insisting he's winning the race. It's cinematic, exhausting, and perfectly symbolic of a man who's built an empire on motion without direction. The country follows behind, half horrified, half entertained, waiting for an ending that never comes. Each new chapter feels like a poorly timed sequel, same story, same star, same script. At his latest rally, Trump tried to rewrite his own poll numbers and accidentally turned the speech into a self-roast. He bragged about victories that didn't exist, attacked critics who hadn't spoken, and somehow blamed inflation, the media, and the moon all in one breath. It was classic Trump, chaos, comedy, and confusion wrapped in unshakable confidence. Kimmel mocked it as an open mic night where logic died and denial took center stage. Depp, watching with quiet fascination, called it performance art without applause. Every boast feels like déjà vu, every declaration echoes the last. The act never changes, only the props. Even global politics has become his stage. His tariffs on India and Mexico sparked diplomatic headaches that rippled across continents. Economists warned of fallout, but Trump dismissed it as proof of strength. What followed were trade slowdowns, soaring prices, and uneasy partners rethinking their alliances. Kimmel dubbed it the diplomacy of dominoes, one ego tipping over an entire structure of cooperation. Depp, half amused and half bewildered, compared it to watching a man play chess against himself and still lose. Together, their commentary captures the absurd rhythm of the era, a spectacle that keeps moving, not toward progress, but toward repetition. A presidency forever chasing motion, mistaking chaos for momentum.
Adam McKay said, how would you like to do a feature film in 4 days? And I went, I like that idea. And then he said, how would you like to play Donald Trump? And I loved that idea. I didn't care if I knew if I was capable or not, you know. I wanted to try, so I did my bit as Donald Trump. They don't really trust foreigners. You don't want to be Donald Trump. It was difficult. He speaks real weird.
Yeah. Because the way he speaks is very specific.
Yeah.
Were you telling all the Mexicans to get off set?
I told them to build me that wall. I'm going to build a wall. I want a sensational wall.
When Trump sent troops into Chicago, he called it a mission of strength. The city called it overreach. Protests erupted, headlines exploded, and through it all, Trump smiled, not despite the unrest, but because of it. Kimmel notes that for him, chaos isn't a crisis, it's content. Every confrontation is airtime. Depp agrees, calling him a man who measures leadership not by results, but by how long the cameras stay on him. His latest press briefing on inflation was another spectacle of denial. Trump spoke of prosperity while the markets winced, of victory while prices climbed. Every sentence contradicted the charts behind him. Kimmel joked, it's the first time numbers looked embarrassed. Depp likened it to a movie set where the script changes mid-scene, yet the star keeps performing, convinced everyone else is off script. Through it all, Trump continues to cast himself as both hero and victim, battling enemies of his own creation. His self-mythology has reached Shakespearean heights, except even Shakespeare never wrote a character who held rallies just to praise himself. Kimmel calls it the tragedy of applause, a story where the protagonist can't live without the crowd. Depp sees it differently, a performance stuck in endless rehearsal, forever promising greatness but never delivering it. The Trump presidency has become an unending art installation, part arrogance, part improvisation, and pure denial. Every policy, every speech, every outburst feels like another act in a show that refuses to close. Yet behind the spectacle, the real consequences remain: inflation creeping higher, trade tensions deepening, cities tangled in political theater. It's entertainment with a price tag, a performance that may never end, but one the audience can no longer afford to keep watching.
Now, after Chicago, he has declared Chicago to be the world's most dangerous city. That, of course, is based on statistics gathered by the worm inside RFK Jr.'s head. There are many cities with higher murder rates than Chicago, from red states, by the way, but you don't see him sending the National Guard in there. So far, Trump has been tougher on Chicago, LA, and Washington, D.C. than Russia, China, and North Korea.
Kimmel's humor cuts cleanly through the chaos, exposing the contradictions that define the Trump era. One day, Trump declares victory over inflation. The next, his own team quietly admits prices are rising faster than anyone expected. He boasts of peace abroad while his tariffs ignite trade disputes. He praises the economy while everyday Americans struggle to stretch their paychecks thinner. The punchlines practically write themselves, but Kimmel makes sure they land with precision, laughter mixed with disbelief. Depp's take on the roast is quieter but sharper. He doesn't see Trump as a leader, but as a man consumed by his reflection, someone obsessed with legacy, not leadership. Every decision, every gesture, every exaggeration feels like an audition for history's approval. But history, Depp notes, isn't easily fooled. It doesn't buy branding, it remembers consequences. There's a tragedy in that, a performer unable to distinguish applause from approval, mistaking noise for success and spotlight for substance. Recent weeks have revealed the cracks. Polls fluctuate, allies distance themselves, yet Trump clings to the performance as though the cameras are his lifeline. He thrives in turbulence, confusing motion with momentum. Kimmel calls it the politics of perpetual motion, always spinning, never progressing. The show never ends, not because it's succeeding, but because the star refuses to let the curtain fall. Depp takes it further, describing Trump's leadership as a self-portrait painted in denial. Each brushstroke hides the truth beneath layers of ego and illusion. The result is haunting, a portrait that almost looks like power until you realize it's just performance. Kimmel and Depp, in their own ways, aren't just mocking a man, they're documenting an era where politics became theater and the punchline became prophecy.
Think about Donald Trump. He doesn't care about money. He knows that there are more important things in life, like love. He's definitely flipping out. His once loyal gaggle of gazillionaires is turning on him because they're losing so much money. So today he wrote, "The United States has a chance to do something that should have been done decades ago. Don't be weak, don't be stupid." That's right, be strong and stupid. Also, don't be a panickin'. And then in parentheses, he explains that means a new party based on weak...
On attention only to discover that attention doesn't equal respect. The crowd that once lifted him now looks away, exhausted by the spectacle. Kimmel laughs because, really, what else is left to do? The show is nearly over, and the lead actor still doesn't realize it. Trump's latest press appearances, filled with self-congratulation, denial, and finger-pointing, reveal a leader more invested in applause than answers. Every policy move feels like a scene in a never-ending sequel to a film that ran out of plot long ago. The tariffs, the rallies, the troop deployments, all pieces of the same performance, a desperate attempt to hold the spotlight. Kimmel calls it political theater without an ending, a spectacle that mistakes noise for narrative. Depp calls it the art of pretending forward motion without direction, energy without purpose. Together, they frame a presidency defined not by progress, but by performance. The script keeps changing, the audience keeps thinning, and yet the actor keeps talking. Because for Trump, silence isn't peace, it's defeat. And so, the monologue goes on.
If he's looking to improve his approval numbers, I have an idea. Release the Epstein files. They did a poll on that too. A vast majority say they want to see the Epstein files. 77% of Americans want the Epstein files released, but 100% of our American president does not want them.
As Kimmel's mockery and Depp's quiet disdain intertwine, their message cuts deeper than comedy. This isn't leadership, it's performance art gone rogue. An endless production where the star no longer remembers his lines but refuses to leave the stage. What once felt spontaneous now feels scripted, recycled, and hollow. The same spectacle plays on repeat, new slogans pasted over old scenes, the same grievances repackaged as revelation. The show goes on, not because it should, but because the performer cannot stop performing. The character has long outgrown his script. Every improvisation reeks of desperation, every claim a plea for relevance. Trump confuses attention for admiration, applause for authority. Somewhere between the podiums, the rallies, and the relentless camera flashes, the President of the United States has turned himself into a living self-parody, a man trapped inside his own myth, endlessly auditioning for applause that no longer comes. Kimmel captures the absurdity with sharp wit, laughing not out of joy but disbelief. Depp, ever the observer, calls it the theater of exhaustion, a performance so overextended it no longer knows what it's trying to say. The curtain hasn't fallen, but the lights are dimming, the audience shifting in their seats. What was once billed as history now plays like repetition, the same beats, the same bravado, the same denial dressed in new costumes. The world watches, half amused and half fatigued, as the greatest political performance of modern times limps toward its inevitable finale. The applause is thinning, the stage shrinking, the spotlight flickering. Even the loyal audience senses it, the silence approaching, slow but certain. And when it finally arrives, it won't be dramatic or loud. It'll be quiet, the sound of a show that ran too long, finally out of lines to deliver.